Hi, hello. So, my name is Dr. Jawad Aziz. So today I would like to talk about a topic which might be of interest of many people, particularly those whom they are interested in healthcare. So I would like today to talk about unblocking potential. So this is the power of duality in personalized medicine for homeostatic stability. So if this context, I would like really to explain for you the concept of duality and how one could utilize the concept of duality in homeostasis and implementing the concept of duality in personalized medicine. So first, let's share the screen and talk about this concept in more detail. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say that the entire information is basically derived from a concept called Halalopathy, which I have developed since 5 years. And the main goal of this Halalopathy is really to create or to improve prevention and then make the existing drug more effective. So let's go to the concept of duality. First of all, what is duality? Duality in general, the coexistence of two contradicting elements in one system. Usually when two contradicting elements come together, we have learned previously that this is like impossible. But in reality, this is possible. But we don't know exactly what happens when two contradicting elements come together. Now, to understand the concept deeply, it's always good to utilize a sort of another way of thinking, which I call it the analogical way of thinking. And in this case, it's good to compare this description with concepts well known in science. Now, the best source which could provide us so much information about life, about our body, and about our health is chemistry. In chemistry, we have a concept called buffer. In general, buffer, it is made from two contradicting elements. One is called acid and the other is called anti-acid. They work together in a teamwork with the main function is to achieve a stable pH. Now, what is pH? pH in general represent the concentration of hydrogen ions in solution. So if hydrogen ions in solution is high, pH is low, this indicates that the solution is very acidic. And if the concentration of hydrogen ions in solution is low, pH is high, means the solution is not very acidic. Now, to understand the concept of pH and correlate it to our daily life, let's look at the blood. In the blood, we have a pH around 7.4. Now, it's known that if the pH shift in the blood, this is dangerous because if pH goes down, then we have acidosis, and if pH goes up, we have alkalosis. Both cases, this generate a disease, and this is very dangerous for our health. Now, we could ask the question how the blood can maintain stable pH in our body. Indeed, this is because of the teamwork between two contradicting elements. Again, this is the acid and the base. In this case, we have carbonic acid, and the base is the bicarbonate. If they are both in the right proportion, then they generate a pH of 7.4. And if the capacity of the buffer system is good, then it can tolerate a strong change, a strong addition of strong acid or strong base. Now, let's think for a while that our blood is just made from one component. Since it is basics, 7.4, let's consider it is made from bicarbonate, and we dilute it in a way that to generate a pH equivalent to 7.4. Now, we have a solution which is 7.4, but it's just made from only one component. Now, if we add 1 drop of strong acid to this solution, pH goes to 1. Or if we add 1 drop of strong base to this solution, pH goes to 14. No one could survive such fluctuation in the pH. Therefore, it is necessary, or let's say there is no way to achieve stability in our blood with regard to the pH without having two contradicting elements, the acid and the base. And this, of course, opened a window for us to understand the concept of duality. It seems it is really very important, and it is responsible for stability in our body. Why stability is important? Well, to understand the stability, we have to go to the general concept of stability, which is called homeostasis. Now, homeostasis represents the self-regulation. If we lost homeostasis in our body, we lose our life. So how to achieve homeostasis? Basically, this is done through a cooperative work between a multi-buffer system in our body. They work together non-stop and in a teamwork to maintain stability in our body. And the question is, how? So, first of all, to understand this concept, let's say very clear, let's try to look at homeostasis from mental stability. Now, in our body, or let's say in the brain, there are two contradicting chemicals produced by the brain. One is called excitatory neurotransmitters, and the opposite is the inhibitory neurotransmitters. So, obviously, if we want to maintain a stable mental state, this depends on the dialect balance between the excitatory and the inhibitory neurotransmitters. Now, if excitatory dominate, then we get anxiety. If inhibitory dominate, we get depression. If both are in harmonious balance, then we achieve tranquility. And tranquility is is a reflection of mental stability. So it is imperative to uphold a balanced relationship between those two processes, as really it protects us from mental destability. Now, let's look at the physical stability of our body. Now, to understand this, we have to consider the most vital metabolic processes in our body. One is called anabolic and the other is called catabolic. These two processes are fundamentally opposite each other. And indeed, maintaining a delicate balance between them is essential for sustaining life and for maintaining optimal physical health. So what is catabolic and what is anabolic? So catabolic in general, you have the large molecule. When it is broken down into many small molecules, it generates disorder. And beside that, it could also lead to the cell death. Anabolic is completely opposite to the catabolic, where all these small molecules are collected to build a large molecule, which has a potential rich in information and function. So it builds order. Now, if in theory, anabolic dominate, means that, after certain age, our body does not grow anymore. Therefore, both processes need to work together in balance. But if anabolic start dominating, this is the time where we start gaining weight. And this is also might lead to the production of unnecessary cells like cancer. So this might lead to a disease. So this is not good. Now, catabolism. If catabolism dominate, of course, this means that disorder will dominate, and then we start losing weight, start getting weak, and this is a sign that we are close to dying. So obviously, if we have to remain alive and if we have to remain healthy, we have to maintain this balance between those two important and interesting metabolic process. Now, let's go to something which is really interesting. It has fascinated me a lot. Even in our body, we have two contradicting forms of energy. One is called potential energy, and the other is called entropy. Now, the main goal of potential energy is to perform a work. Well, the most important work in our body is really to construct a vital or large or macromolecules like proteins, DNAs. So we need potential energy for that. But at the same time, we have entropy, and entropy is responsible for generating heat. So heat is good, but everything has a limitation. So this is the source of energy, which gives us to maintain our body temperature 37. Now, the challenge is how to run biochemical reactions in our body at temperature 37 and fixed speed. So the rate of reaction should not be very fast and should not be very slow. Always goes TD. Now, this is the challenge. And if something abnormal happened, it means either one will dominate. Let's suppose that potential energy dominate, which is very rare for a reason I can explain later. But in theory, if potential energy dominate, this means that we have potential, but entropy goes down, means temperature goes down. So the rate of reactions goes down in our body, and this is very risky. And because potential energy has to work if it has the right flexibility. By reducing temperature, we reduce flexibility in our body. So this is not good. Now, let's look what happens if entropy dominates, and this is normal, and this is what's really going on over time. In general, then we increase flexibility, we increase body temperature, and then we increase collision between those small molecules, which in turn increase heat. And then in general, also, it will speed up the rate of the reaction. So overall, it will create highly disordered system. And this is where we start receiving all types of disease. So this is the moment where we are close to dying. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain equilibrium between entropy and potential energy in our body. Now, one could ask a question. Can we really extend the exploration of this duality concept and try to go something beyond our physical aspect of life? So we just talk about what is really happened in our body. And we would like really to see if this duality concept can be connected to the personality concept. Well, I think it is possible. And if we look at the duality from non-physical aspect, we could really try to build our own duality system, or let's say buffer system, by making wise choices. You see here, it is very important, the word wise choices. It means we think, we have options, and then we select wisely. And the best selection will be how to wisely select our values and lifestyles. Yes, it is important. Let's talk a little bit more detail about this concept, because this is rarely has been touched, particularly from scientific perspective. Now, if we exclusively focused on material values or material goals in life, this can lead to an imbalance in our overall personality. So it is really important to find a harmonious balance between the so-called material and non-material values. So while we are really striving to have, let's say, a good career, degrees, good salary, and then to possess a car and a house, it is equally important to enrich our human, moral, spiritual values. It will give us a sense of spiritual balance, and really, it gives us a meaningful life. Now, let's go to the other aspect of personality, let's say lifestyle. So in the field of personal development, it is important to recognize that absolute freedom in our lifestyle choices does not always produce the best result. So if you have a lifestyle which tells you are allowed to do whatever you want, this is not always good. So what is really necessary to be done? It is really essential to establish boundaries and guidelines which distinguish between actions and choices that are beneficial and those which are proved to be harmful to our body. So these self-imposed guidelines serve as a buffer system. Remember, buffer generates stability. So this will really promote stability and balance within ourselves. So by setting those boundaries consciously, so think about it, means, and make choices that are really consistent with our values and goals, so we can navigate our personal path with greater wisdom. And of course, we will maintain harmonious balance in our life. That is really interesting. Now one could ask a question. Oh, what is really the connection between personality and our health? Well, stable personality is important. Why? Because this is playing a huge role in realizing our full potential. And it will activate the fight mood in our immune system. So I tell you frankly, when our personality and mentality remain stable, we are better equipped to face challenges and activate our body's natural defense mechanism. Well, if we don't have a balanced or stable personality, what we will have? The opposite. So if our personality is exposed to distraction or any imbalances, this will have a negative impact on our immune system, because our immune system is not anymore in the fight mood, in the happy mood, the mood where it can detect any error and simultaneously correct it. So it goes either to the fright mood or to the flight mood. Fright mood, it means that excitatory neurotransmitters are more dominant, so we have extra energy, but we don't know what to do, but it's not any more focused. This is like when the immune system starts shooting everywhere, shooting the healthy cell and the unhealthy cell. And this is the potential where we could have the so-called autoimmune disease. Or when inhibitory neurotransmitters are dominant, then flight mode dominate. And when flight mode dominate, this means that really our potential has been suppressed and we don't have any more energy to fight. And this is also very dangerous. So obviously, there is a good connection between personality, stability of our personality and our immune system. If it is balanced, if we have these duality aspect, let's say, between excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters, then we have stable personality, and then our immune system is always in the fight mood. So with this dual approach, combining physical concepts with the non-physical concepts, we can really create always stability. Now, let's go to another question. This is the biggest question where everybody asks how we would like to remain healthy, how to improve prevention. And I think literature and many expert people in the YouTubes all the time talk about exercises and or nutrition. What is the best exercise to keep you healthy, and what is the best nutrition to keep you healthy? Well, this is interesting. And of course, most of our potential energy comes either from exercise or come from nutrition. But we ignore a very important source of potential energy, which is the action potential, and mainly come from the non-physical aspect, which potentially comes from information and mindset. Now, just to go through quickly the physical aspect, because there's so many, let's say, hypotheses, proposals, and explanation about how to live a healthy life. So I would just give my recommendation with regard of exercise. Remember, select exercise which suits your age. So do not make sport, especially when your anabolic system is saturated, means your catabolic has the potential to dominate. Then you have to work hard on yourself, on creating potential. But at the same time, duality, never ever cross the threshold. So if you put so much stress during exercise, this is very risky. So just build potential, but avoid building stress, especially when you are start getting old, because building stress will increase your cortisol level in your body, white blood cells goes down, then your immune system is weak. At that moment, if there is any virus getting close, it will just defeat you. So just be selective in your exercise. With regard to nutrition, I always suggest to have food first. It has to be biodegradable. Second, focus a lot on natural products, especially those natural products which include fruits and vegetables, which are well known, even based on science, that it really prevents disease. And of course, drinks, we should focus a lot on drinks mainly derived from natural products. And do not forget honey in water, vinegar, and diluted form, of course, and milk, and so many others. Anyway, the physical aspect, you can find so many information, but the non-physical aspect is lost, really. And this is the most important for me, because developing information and mindset is very important. So how to develop this information and to create the mindsets? For me, the goal is very simple. We need to create a compatible system in our bodies, because compatible system create potential. That's a fact. Now, compatible system could be looked at from different perspectives. But for me, let's say it is important to make your behavior and your concept about life compatible. So never ever do something, you believe that this is not good. So because you create incompatibility, and incompatibility takes away your potential. So please focus on building potential through building a compatible system. Coordinate your behavior with your concepts, with your lifestyles. And this will promote what is well known as cause-effect information. So enriching cause-effect information will reduce entropy and increase potential energy in our body. And this is what we are looking for, how to enrich our potential. Yes, can also be enriched by having positive and optimistic mindset. This is really helpful because we should really avoid any distraction or any negativity in our life, because distraction can create fear and greed. In other words, this is a good environment for building anxiety and depression, which will take away our potential, which is not good. So let's go to interesting aspect of healing now. For any reason, we got disease and we need to fight this disease. The problem is we want to achieve complete recovery. Here, duality concept work perfect. Now, of course, it has to do how much the disease is aggressive. But first of all, let's look at the duality concept. So we need here two different sources, and those sources always need to be in a contradicting form. So here again, we have information, and then we have medicine and therapeutic drugs, which is representing medicine. Information. I wanted to classify information into different types because we expect not all of you have really the same background. So I first said the best, of course, is supportive information. This supportive information really provide us a sort of a comprehensive understanding of the situation that include both its best and worst. So in other way, you are really prepared, whether it is good or it is bad. And this is very important, right? Because if you are only prepared for something good and something bad happened, this is disaster. And opposite, if you are prepared for something bad and something good happened, this might be the last good thing will happen for you. Just train yourself how to create a supportive information, because this is creating so much potential. And remember, supportive information will look at information from both aspects. It's again duality concept. Now, the second important source of information is positive expression. This is something where people almost ignore. They don't really think about what they talk. They don't know that words carry potential, carry energy. And if it interact with our body, it depends. If this expression is really compatible with our nature, it will build potential. If it is incompatible, it will take away our potential. That's why I really consider positive expression is correlated to our biological nature. In our body, as I said, we have anabolic and catabolic process. Anabolic build potential, and this is where we put so much effort. Catabolic takes away potential because it builds entropy. Now, we need both, but we don't have to worry too much about the catabolic process, because this is something spontaneous. Whether you like it or not, it will take place. What we have to worry about is the anabolic process, because this is which required from our side to work so hard to build our potential. And all right, of course, we can build potential based on exercise and food, but the unique potential, which I call it green energy, it comes through these positive expression, which really goes in form of anabolic thinking. And if you don't think in anabolic way of thinking, then it means that you are thinking in a catabolic way of thinking, and this is always represented the negative thinking, which must be completely avoided because this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Now, let's talk about the last topic, which is for me, this is one of my interests. Or let's say, before going to this topic, I would like just to continue with regard to the second aspect. So information, I said, it is very important because information, it is an excellent source of action potential. Now, because it activates our potential, so indirectly it activates our fight mode. Now, if our fight mode is active, it means that this is how we can remain healthy. But if we have a disease, now it depends on the quality of the disease. If it is a simple one, sometimes immune system is enough. But if it is a complicated one, like cancer, really, information is not always enough. So we need, again, to create a sort of duality concept and introduce the second element contradicting to our information is therapeutic drug. And of course, we have to select the therapeutic drug which matches our disease. For me, this is really interesting. If you think from quantum mechanics, they have these concepts, the so-called wave particle duality. I think this is really fitting well with this healing concept because information interact with our body through state-state or wave-wave interaction, whereas therapeutic drug, it interact with our body based on particle-particle interaction. And implementing both, we create a sort of wave-particle duality. And this is the best environment for achieving complete recovery. Now we can add extra information and personalize our therapeutic drug and again, generate more potential. And here, again, we use the concept of duality in personalizing our medicine. Now, when we talk about therapeutic drug, of course, this is a drug which is rationally designed, where people work so much hard to design this molecule and test and make several tests to make sure that it has a therapeutic effect. Unfortunately, especially, as I said, in cases like cancer, every drug has a dose effect. So when you give this a drug to, let's say, eliminate cancer cells, unfortunately, the dose we give is not enough to kill all cancer cells. At the same time, if we give more dose of the drug, then it generates so much of this negative effect. And this is the side effect of the medicine. So that's why doctors try to be, in between. They don't want to kill the patients, but at the same time, they cannot completely remove the cancer load from our body. And that's why cancer stays with us forever. Now, you might say, okay, maybe this is not the right drug. Let's go and make another drug. Well, many people, they made always a new drugs, but we always end up with the same situation. And even every year we have a new drugs. And if you look at the new drug and compare the therapeutic value of the new drug with the existing one, we will notice that the therapeutic value or the improvement of the therapeutic value, either there is nothing, or it is the same, or it is a little bit improved, or it is even worse. Therefore, we put so much effort, so much time to generate a new drug, but we are still unable to achieve the so-called complete recovery. So my opinion is, which is also based on this Halalopathy opinion, we can look from different perspectives. We have this drug, We have a lot of drugs in the market, and the goal is very simple: how to make this existing drug more effective. All right, some people, they go to these so-called combined therapy, let them go. And I would like to go into another direction, which I would call it creating a link between the therapeutic drug and our lifestyles. Yes, lifestyles. This is interesting. Why? First of all, let's talk about lifestyle in general. I think in every society, you will find that there are so many lifestyles exist, and they are influenced by different values and, factors. For example, people, they have some dietary restrictions. So those whom they have problems, let's say with the gluten, they always prefer to have a drug which is gluten-free. It's fine. Others, they have problems with glucose, then they would like to prefer a drug without glucose, glucose-free. Others with lactose. So other people, they also have another lifestyle which is correlated to eating habits. So they either prefer vegetarian or vegan. And other people also, they have a sort of religious practices, and they prefer to follow lifestyles correlated to their religion, either kosher or halal. So by linking this therapeutic drug, which is rationally designed, with our lifestyle through labeling, we have to label this drug based on the patient's lifestyle. And this is, we create this concept of personality by personalizing medicine, by making it so special for individuals. Why this is great? Because when I take a drug which is compatible with my lifestyle, well, first of all, I really have more trust in a drug which is compatible to my lifestyle than a drug which is incompatible. Remember, we always take into consideration the physical and the non-physical. Many ignore the non-physical aspect of the humanity because it has so much correlation with our personality. And we talk about personalized drug and we ignore our personality. So if I trust this rationally designed drug, at one hand, I will create the so-called placebo effect. The drug itself has a therapeutic effect, and this drug is compatible with my lifestyle. This compatibility creates a homogeneous effect. Now imagine I have 3 effects going in the same direction. Now, most of the people whom they cure themselves, let's say for cancer, they only activate one effect, which is therapeutic effect, ignoring completely the other 2 effects. But if we activate the placebo and the homogeneous effect simply by personalizing the medicine with the lifestyle, then we get what I call it bonus effect. And this is not a dream. This is known in biology. If you have more than 2 effects going in the same direction, you get the bonus effect, which is called synergistic effect. And synergistic effect will be responsible for driving our therapy toward complete recovery. So this is my suggestion. So in this even personalized medicine, we again implement the concept of duality. We have again a drug, we correlated it to lifestyles, which is a number of thoughts and informations we adopted because it solved a problem for us, or we believe in those ideas, which is sort of informations. So in the end, I would say that yes, this duality concept is incredible. This is for me the best way to unlock our potential. And if we implement this duality in every aspect of our life, this is where we can create tranquility in our heart. And tranquility will be reflected into homeostasis into our body, and this is how we can really protect our health. So never ever ignore the non-physical aspect of the human personality. Patient is our center. Personalizing medicine is incredibly effective, and we ignore the miraculous effect which comes out of synergistic effect. The power of synergy is huge and must be utilized. Thanks for your attention.